Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are very excited to have one of our first Great Data Minds women interviews for you today. So before we get into introducing our very special guest, I would like to take you through a little bit of who I am and what Great Data Minds does. And I am Kalia Garrido. I'm in charge of marketing and events here at Great Data Minds. Um, GDM is a collective of passionate data activists. We are on a mission to modernize the world of data. We offer a number of services in the way of strategic planning, education, deployment of critical data projects. And we produce a ton of great content. So if you would like to sign up for our newsletter, then please reach out to us directly on greatdataminds.com. You can see all the events we have coming up. You can see a newsletter sign up as well. And we would love to have you on the list. We'll share all the cool stuff that we are up to. Now about Great Data Minds Women. Great Data Minds Women is our way to give back to the women in the data community. So we all know that we need more women in STEM. And we hold events and interviews that are committed to helping promote, educate, and inspire women. In addition to having some sessions just like this, we have just launched a private LinkedIn group to help foster the communication and, kind of create space for a conversation around women in the data community. So if you would like to join that group, you can search us up on LinkedIn. I will drop the URL of the LinkedIn group in the description below. And if you want to, just email us, info@greatdataminds.com, and let us know your intent, and we'll be happy to add you to that group. So without further ado, today's guest, I am very excited to introduce to you Christina Bernard. Now, this is a woman on a lifelong quest for technical knowledge. She is a data scientist who loves to learn new technologies, tools, systems, and methodologies to craft the perfect solution for her clients. She understands that for some, adopting new technologies and tools can be scary, and she has made it her mission to help alleviate those fears by instead focusing on the unparalleled benefits that can arise when data is done right. Christina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
All right. So I know you have a very diverse background. When we had kind of our initial call and on your LinkedIn profile, I'm seeing some biotechnology and I'm seeing some marketing. I'm a marketer and I am not involved in biotechnology. So can you explain to us a little bit about how your career has shaped and kind of what brought you here?
Yes, so I fell into the field of data science and analytics. I started young, so a lot of people won't realize, but I actually started in high school. I went to a summer camp. I learned how to code, and a bunch of biologists, the director was a biologist. He was like, will you code for my lab, helping us do genome parsing and scripting for genomics research? And I was like, why not? I have nothing else to do at my time. So he got me a computer, taught me everything he knew, and I was working for him for about 4 years. And then I had I don't know what I want to do with my life panic. And then I stopped doing data, got back in, started doing patient analytics. Cause I might've been in high school, but I was doing master's level research with master's level biologists and working with them because they couldn't code. And so it was like when Python 2 was around, not Python 3. And after that, I got into patient analytics, and I've kind of come to the point where I realized we're solving a lot of problems in health that are solved with trying to help people eat healthy, exercise, and get out. Which is something AI can't do for you. And so I like working on projects within that space, but I felt like marketing and consumer products are that same problem, but a little bit more interesting, a little bit more varied, a little bit more not trying to put technology to solve a problem that we are not really necessarily attacking the right way. I feel like a lot of people in health attack the wrong problem. And I want to help people attack the right problem with the right tools and get the right habits and behaviors in.
Okay. Wow. All right. So what is it? And so what is it that you find exciting about that kind of work? Like, what is it that kind of jazzes you up when you think about, approaching it from this perspective?
Math, the nerdy answer. I like how math can kind of tell you human behavior. Like we always think about philosophy and thinking, but you can apply math on top of that. And you can see how people network in groups, how different things affect different people, how different regions do different things. And you can use math to kind of understand human behavior. And I think that's just fascinating. When I originally started, it was just fun. It was just like, oh, I got a new skill. Let me just do what he wants me to do and go from there. And as I kept going, I was like, do you realize, like, with the right tools, you can stop some diseases from happening, create prevention, and model some things. And on the other side, you can just see how the world works. You can just see how people interact and behave and want to interact and behave. I just think that's interesting.
I love that answer, because I was like, I would approach it from such a different perspective, but that's great that you could use math to like understand human behavior. Wow. So what are some trends that you foresee coming for the world of data in the next couple of years or so?
Well, I think that once we as data scientists kind of step back and start trying to be excited about technology, we can actually help small business owners. And they, like, the penetration of technology in most industries is not there. Like, we haven't gotten past Excel spreadsheets in most industries. We haven't gotten past pen and paper in others. But the technology industry, of course, we're like light years ahead. But I think the data trend for some will be making it affordable for all business owners to start using these insights and kind of attacking industries that don't have any like software or data in it. Like, I was like magazine creation or catalog creation for certain products. Like, there's one or two softwares they use. Could you imagine if they actually could use data information to build that catalog for them? It'll save a lot of time and money for that small business owner. So I think the way, especially with everything that's going on around us right now with COVID-19, it's going to stop being, ooh, cool data science. Let's just keep building these algorithms and keep doing cool stuff. And let's actually use this to help a business, a small business or medium-sized business grow and scale and retain, which we've been, I feel, in the field not doing. We kind of always want to work on the new and interesting problem, which is actually why a lot of us leave our jobs, is we always think we're going to be able to do that. And the reality of it is we can't. Business owners have very similar problems. They just have to be solved in slightly different ways. And so it can be very boring if you're not excited about that. But I think what the market will demand, what business owners will demand, is making it accessible for them, understandable, and be able to be used to help them retain and grow their business, which is kind of answering the same problem over and over again in different ways.
Wow. Yeah, I think, I mean, you nailed it when you talked about, you know, everybody's in different stages of the amount of technology that you're using for their specific business, certainly. And we play a lot in the enterprise space. So we do see people that are trying to grow, you know, the technology that they're using versus kind of adopt it from the ground up. But you make a good point that there's a lot of companies that are just, they're not even there at all. And one of the things that we're seeing, especially in the COVID times, is that with the adoption of cloud technology, with the right analytics programs, you know, businesses are able to work from anywhere, and they're able to scale from anywhere. And, you know, it's a very important thing to consider right now.
Right.
So in your ideal world, in the no COVID world, the ideal situation, how can we use data for good? Like, how can we do, this is something that we're so passionate about, you know, and you touched on the human experience of how when people are adopting new technologies or tools, they might feel a little scared. And so this is kind of part of the mission that we have at Great Data Minds, is like address the humans, but also like, what can we do to use data for good?
Yeah, I think about this problem a lot, actually, because sometimes I do feel like we do a lot of invasion of privacy and we're getting too far down into it. It's not really turning into something good, it's turning into something invasive. But I think where it's for good would be like, for example, my mom has a garden right now. And one of the things I've been thinking about is, how can I help grow food in someone's backyard and help them have and be able to sell that food to pay for their rent. So if you're in a low income community, which I was raised in, having a garden, have someone set it up and monitor it, that's where I think data comes in handy. Because if you're monitoring these things and you're pulling that data and you have injection systems to do it, and it's small scale enough to have a home gardener, that's something for good. If it's in terms of predicting education, one of the things I would love to do, and I've been working on, is machine learning for educating kids. And so these days, teachers don't have knowledge in the field that they're teaching. So for example, when I was taking my break off from analytics, figuring out my life, I taught. And I was the only teacher in the math and science department, well, one of a few, two, just say one of two, who was actually had any experience in math and science. They had me teaching computer science, but what ended up happening is I taught computer science so quickly, for the curriculum they had because I understood computer science. I was like, I'm going to get through this really quickly. I understand what I'm teaching, but they made their curriculum for teachers who don't understand what they're teaching. And I ended up having to teach math intervention because I have a math background as well. And the math teacher at that time was a history teacher. And so she has history certification. So I think where data plays in education is, can I use a machine learning algorithm to take the inputs from what that kid is learning and develop a tailored learning plan in the public school environment? And I think these are questions that are hard to ask and hard to implement, but I think that's where we're doing good. It's not just building technology for technology's sake because this is cool, but actually figuring out how can we bridge the gap and solve problems in communities that need that problem being solved. And so I always want to advocate for critical thinking from data scientists. Again, I think we do get very excited and we're like, ooh, we can make it do this. And we get a lot of things that are not good for the world, not good for people. It invades privacy, and it's not actually digging into problems that need solving, but don't necessarily have as much funding in it for them. Like they don't see where it's going. But it would be amazing for those communities if you had something like a computer that could tell the teacher, print out this worksheet for this kid instead and give that kid that worksheet, or show this kid this style of learning. Like there's 10 different ways to learn math. I've started learning all of them because I had to self-teach a lot in mathematics because I had a poor math education. I was actually an English brat. I don't know how, like I said, I have no idea how I got into this. But I was the literature person. I would read all day. I would write long papers. Now I can't write to save my life. And I know math, but to help the teacher, I think it'd be cool. And so there's a lot of things I think we're just not thinking about because we're stuck in technology and we're stuck in the technology brain. But there's other industries where if we could figure out that small delta, we'd make a huge impact for them.
I love that. It's like the case against the bright, shiny object, right? It's like this is back to the practical application of how you can actually use the data to help real deal everyday people that don't work in technology. Kind of use your power for good, and down with the bright shiny object. I like that. That's the name of this interview.
Down with the bright shiny object, yes.
Down with the bright shiny object. Do not follow that shiny object into the night. Okay. So what's next for you personally, Christina? I know when we spoke, I know you have a diverse background. You have a lot of opportunities on the table. Where do you think that your career is going to lead you next?
I don't know. I know what I'm working on. So obviously COVID-19 killed me because I was basically trying to get back in the game again and figuring out entrepreneurship. And so I'm working on, I guess, 2 projects right now. The first is kind of a delivery application. So traditionally the delivery applications are third party and you pay a commission. Well, I want to take that technology and just let the company, like the small business, buy a subscription and hire their own drivers. And so they bring it all in-house. They cover their own, obviously if there's an insurance cost, they cover it, but you'd save a lot more money if you brought it in-house, hired your own drivers and made that happen. So I'm trying to connect with any small business, restaurants, retail, who are just trying to get their products locally to people who need them and figure out a way to stay in the game with everything that's coming on. And my friend actually wanted me to start this. Like he called me, he's like, can you do this? I was like, I don't know. I can search something for you. So we found out. Yeah, exactly how it went. And so I found out. And so we're just trying to figure out how to help small business owners with that. It's not necessarily data enabled now, but in the future, we'd like to help them figure out how to cross sell products from different businesses within their local stores and deliver that, which I think would be cool. And the second thing I'm trying to figure out how to work with is finding people who are maybe marketing or small businesses who are just trying to figure out their marketing and operations and use data to change that. Because if you have several stores across several different states, what you need to show in that store is not the same. I mean, Walmart's been doing this for decades. That technology is cheap now. It just takes a little bit of investment. And so I want to help businesses learn how to operate efficiently. And I want to help marketing companies set up their MarTech integrations because it kills me. I've been working on a few like side projects for people and I'm just like, this is wrong. And I know they're just like, it works for us. And I'm just like, but it would be so much more efficient.
Optimize it.
Yeah. And so those are the 2 things I'm trying to get started in. It's just setting up their solutions for them and helping them start thinking about how to answer those questions, as well as try to help small businesses right now who just want a different solution than what's out there and are willing to take the chance and try something different that might actually better benefit them, because you keep a lot more in your pocket if you're not handing your money to third-party delivery apps. Just make it a SaaS, make it a software as a service. You subscribe to it. they process their own transactions and things like that. So those are my two pet projects. At the moment, I might pull up a third and start teaching. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm in the post-COVID. I don't know what I want to do anymore. Phase
Yeah.
of post-COVID,
Right. Who
and
am
so there's
I? What happened?
right. What happened? Yeah,
What happened?
you just start kind of, I don't know,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
But maybe teaching. I've thought about. I want to start a kid-driven game studio where they make their own games, and so I've been thinking about how can I put content for children to learn coding online in like a LMS course, but also be able to do live teaching for them. Because I think there's a need for live teaching within that. I think kids respond better to that as well. So those are kind of I guess my three, I said two. Those are my three big pet projects, the ones I care about the most right now. And we'll see where
Yeah.
it goes.
You are like bursting with ideas. There's a lot of potential I'm seeing, so like flying off the screen. So this is great. Thank you so much for your time today, Christina. It's so exciting to hear what you're up to and sort of where you see things heading. And I just love using using data for practical applications, not just the
Yeah.
coolest new thing. Really cool takeaway. I appreciate it. So if anybody wants to get connected with Christina, they can certainly email us at info@greatdataminds.com. And we will make the connection there. And Christina is also a member of our GDM Women LinkedIn group, so you can also hit her up there. Thank you so much for your time today, Christina, and to everybody for listening.
Definitely.
Bye-bye.
It was nice chatting.
Bye.